So, yeah, to basically get things rolling real quick here, yeah, the music in the background is available in the link's description below. It's all royalty free, so yada yada yada. So, basically, Godzilla is really big, and he had some back issues, so I only had a single wire at the beginning, which wasn't very good. He basically, hello, Holly. Of course you come here. I thought you were going to be busy eating supper, but apparently not. But at any rate, that one wire wasn't enough, especially for Godzilla being so big and tall and muscular, for lack of a better description. Jeez. Small Zoo, of course, is joining in right when I start the camera, as always. Hi, Mr. Middies. Here. Come here, buddy. Nope. Okay. But at any rate, before I get interrupted by pets too much more, essentially, that one wasn't enough, so I had to do a coil. So I JB welded everything in place so he would actually have far more support and be able to actually stand on his own without that big, ugly support rod. By that, I basically mean having this, you know, coat hanger piece pushed into his chest to hold him up so that way he'd be able to actually stand upright on his own. And I didn't want that. Unfortunately, Sue the T-Rex does have that, and it just looks really bad in my opinion. So that's kind of the reason for the operations, is that he just needed to be able to stand on his own just to kind of be able to actually perform correctly and actually look good at the same time. So I'm happy to say that he actually, you know, is able to do it. He looks really, really skinny at the moment, I'll admit, but we're going to add a little bit of clay to that. So the good news is he is now able to actually stand completely on his own. So at this point, I can move on now that he's all stitched together. I just have to mix up a little bit of clay to make sure everything's blended in. And then I'm going to move on to basically making his thagomizers, or his tail spikes, that much stronger, which happens to be these things at the back for anyone who's unaware. These are thagomizers, common for Stegosaurus. Yeah, Stegosaurus. But, yeah. Then I will probably be hacking off his arms, unfortunately, too, because I would like to replace that with a wire joint as opposed to a ball joint, because his arms like to dislocate frequently. So in order to have him basically swing punches efficiently and have him raise his arm up with more mobility, I'm going to basically be replacing the hinges in those, which should be fairly quick. And then after all of that, I'm going to basically make a blast setup for Shimo. So I'm going to make an ice beam. So we'll be moving on to props after that, as well as, whatchamacallit, a nuclear pulse. Still haven't quite figured that out, so we might be fishing for ideas in the chat for that one. So, of course, Mr. Middies is here as the co-host, per usual, trying to lather up as much attention as he can. So, at any rate, hopefully that kind of explains why Godzilla is going through all these operations. It does look really bad, but in retrospect, it is a good thing and has paid off and will be basically a lot better at animations, if that makes any sense. So, could I donate? At this moment, not yet. We'll give a briefing, unfortunately, why. I would really appreciate that. It would be really cool. But unfortunately, I'm not at that level at YouTube yet, so keep watching. That's the best thing you can do at the moment, because I'm really close to having that YouTube partner program, and then at that point, you'll be able to do donations. I'll have ad revenue. I'll have a store. Basically, I'm going to have my own business fairly shortly, as long as I keep this grind up within the next month or two. Yeah, things will be a lot more productive or more business-orientated for Moose Motion Animation. So, yeah, now's a good time to be, smashing that like button, watching as much content as you can, subscribing if you're new, commenting below what you think, share with friends, and all that other self-promoting stuff that you can do. I know chat probably has its other variants that you can rate, so be sure to do all that as well. So, hopefully that all helps. Hello, Blaze Man, thanks for tuning in. So, I got some good news. Godzilla has gone, well, very well with his whole recovery. He's actually now standing completely on his own, and he no longer has a big gaping hole. He is very skinny, so we're gonna fatten him up a little bit, but he doesn't need this big ugly support rod holding him upright, unfortunately, that was there during the glamour shots in the Shimo video. So yeah, I'm very happy. I know it didn't look good in the short, and some people are like, oh no, and it's just like, no, it's fine, this is just looks bad. So he's in good hands. So there's a few more operations that we'll be going through, but for the most part, the major one that was probably the most stressful is now done, which I'm very happy about. So, yeah, I digress. I feel bad for Goji. Oh, don't feel bad for Goji. Good news. Yeah, good news. Goji is completely fine. See, he's a little skinny right now. We're gonna fatten him up. We got some extra clay for that. But the big thing is that back surgery did work well. So he now doesn't need this big ugly thing during all the animations. So Godzilla, it was in good hands. Dr. Moose Motion took good care of him, so we'll be fine. We just need to give him a few milkshakes, I think, is the best way I can describe it. Now, unfortunately, I am going to have to get this kitty out of my lap, who seems to be very content and comfortable with where he is, but I'm going to play with a heat gun for a little bit here, because that just makes mixing up these clay mediums a lot easier. One is basically a different product. This is actually not sponsored. Craftsmart clay, so it's slightly darker, and I'm trying to kind of lighten it up a bit. I might add just a little bit more gray into the mix just to kind of match it, because this guy's a little more charcoal in color. So we'll start with mixing up a little bit of clay and then mushing that into his abdomen, fattening him up a little bit. Now, I probably won't go with nearly that lean waist look as I did before. We're going to probably add a few more clay layers around the legs just to kind of make sure everything is going to be nice and secure, give him that extra little support, because we don't want to have to go through any more surgeries in the near future, because he hasn't even been through any animations yet. Usually after an animation, it's pretty common for a leg or something to kind of end up breaking part of the way through it, so there are repairs quite frequently. So this is nothing out of the ordinary. It just maybe not filmed nearly as much, but just given the severity of the situation, I'm kind of basically trying to make content out of it as well. So, shocking, yes, but the good news is Godzilla is completely fine and is honestly stronger than ever, even though he looks really, really malnourished. So, yeah, I digress. I'll give you guys a couple things in the chat here while playing with Mr. Mitz for a few more minutes before we start mixing up some clay so we can fatten up Mr. Godzilla. Hey, Holly, you want to say hi to everyone too? Get your smiles in. Yeah. Here. Pets are in charge of the stream while I talk to you guys in the chat. Not just yet. I probably will have the video out next Wednesday at this point. We'll see how long the props take to make, because I still have to do a bunch of voiceover work as well. Yes, I know, honey bunny. You're there. Say hi to everyone. Hi, what's the dog doing? Being a pest? Oh yes, she's a big happy girl. Of course. Oh god. Your tail is a whip. Yes, it is a weapon. Careful. How do I make that? Turtle edits. To answer your question, primarily with my hands, I suppose, is the best answer to that question, and a combination of pet hair and a lot of plasticine clay, and the skeletal structure is generally made out of armature wire. In this case, Godzilla is made out of 1/8 thick millimeter wire, and we made a coil for his spine just to give him that extra bit of support. And then the bone structure is made out of Sculpey oven baked clay, which is a great product, and again, not sponsored, but I definitely recommend it for building anything out of like oven baked clay stuff, because I've dealt with some cheap products in the past, and it's better to go with the more expensive one in my opinion, generally, because if you do buy the cheap products, things crack, and if you end up spending hours and hours on a project, it can be pretty disheartening, to say the very least, when something comes out the way you didn't exactly desire it and you have to repair it and spend several hours fixing it. So in order to avoid all that, I generally just buy Sculpey oven baked clay, because you can throw that stuff in the oven over and over and over again. Not necessarily recommended. Just stick to the recommended temperatures, and maybe reduce your average oven time to a couple minutes down to less. So usually you put it in there for about 15 minutes for every 1/4 inch. I usually just do 15 minutes for every fresh layer that I'm doing. You will end up burning it over time if you end up kind of repeatedly putting it in the oven and baking it. But at the same time too, it depends on the situation. For most of my characters, it gets painted or it's completely covered up with plasticine clay, so that's really kind of just a minor effect to deal with. Sometimes it actually looks pretty cool. Some of you, I know when I was doing Legendary Godzilla over here, were requesting that I leave the burn marks in the spikes, which unfortunately I just, yeah, didn't really feel comfortable doing at that particular moment in time, I think is the best way to describe it, because of the weird coloration of Godzilla. So I just kind of stuck with the failsafe, I would kind of admit, which was just kind of going pink. So yeah, dog. So yeah, if you guys have any other questions about the Godzilla operations, let me know. But yeah, so far so good. So I will continue with the project at this particular juncture in time. Unfortunately, my glasses are really dirty, so I'm probably going to clean those off real quick. And then grab my oven bake sheet as well as the heat gun, so that we'll start mixing up the clay and have some sculpting fun. Product 1. And I'm back. Now I have a couple basically old oven baked trays that are now basically designated for the studio, so make sure that you're not using anything nice, for lack of a better description. One's basically the oven baked tray and the other one is the mixture, because you probably shouldn't be throwing plasticine clay into the oven because it kind of makes a mess. So don't do it. Because it'll obviously melt and it's not the same product, but yeah, you don't want any remnants of that on the tray when you're doing that either, because it just kind of creates a big sloppy mess. You're being Mr. Krabs. Yeah, a good way. I don't know what you mean by that, but yeah, it's a little sometimes disheartening. Sometimes people don't have a fully understanding of what's going on here, and it's just like, ah! So, kind of why I made this stream, to just kind of explain things that, don't worry, he is completely fine. There is nothing to worry about. He is, yeah. Basically, if anything, I screwed up at the beginning, so you shouldn't be judging me for what's going on now. You should be judging me for what I did in the past and just kind of speeding up the process maybe a little too fast, if anything, to be quite honest. So, yeah. My mistake at the beginning, I did step up the gauge of the wire, and I assumed that it would have been strong enough to hold it all, but yeah. Live and learn. We're gonna have to make a coil. I'm sure if you go over the review or the videos of Shimo in comparison to Legendary Godzilla, you'll notice Shimo's back actually does have a little bit more support, kind of going, oh yeah, let's do that because yeah. Don't want big ugly support rods. And when you're doing theropods, it's really hard to do, especially when you're dealing with, say, Tyrannosaurus Rex or Velociraptors is another good example, because it's just so much top heaviness that generally is leaning forward that it makes just a really hard character to work with, and aluminum foil is the best thing that you can do, is just stock up on that as much as possible to make things nice and light. Oh no, I think Holly has one of her squeaky toys. Holly, the cat is not going to steal it. I will take the toy away if you're going to be like that. Quit being a grumpy gills. How are you? How am I going to do Godzilla's tail? I will answer your question. Excuse me. That's a strange name. I'm just gonna call you the Awesome. So yeah, I'll answer your question in a bit here. Just gonna mix up a little bit of clay. So it's gonna be a little bit of popcorn noise sound effects. So I'll give you guys just a slightly better look at what's basically kind of taking place here. Just things. Okay. Now, you don't want to get too crazy with the heat, but you just kind of want to get it to the point where that top layer has kind of softened up and is nice and oily in color. Quickly flip it, get the other side. This just makes it a lot easier to basically mix up. Now, there might be a little bit of white that gets kind of tossed in there, but black is such a dark color that it'll just go away over time anyway. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, we're almost ready. I just want to make sure it's nice and warm because that makes a big difference for my hands, it makes it a lot easier to mix up. Now, one thing I do admit, do be very careful when you're kind of doing this stuff, guys. Safety is number one, obviously, and I'll admit, me being a welder for several years has gotten to the point where my hands are pretty much leather, so it doesn't really matter that much, although I'm usually pretty cautious and wear gloves. So, to answer your question, awesome, I'm basically going to do the same thing I did for Shimo, is basically combine the two thagomizers into one and use the tail to basically just kind of hide that midsection where they're actually attached. So therefore, the actual support rod, or the actual tail, the bone of the tail, is basically the middle ground and keeps the thagomizers together much stronger, and they won't be just stuck in there, for lack of a better description. So really easy to fix, actually. So basically all I have to do is grab a little bit of Sculpey oven baked clay, and just to keep things safe here, I'm gonna shove that in there because I'm just paranoid at this point in my life. Anyway, but yeah, just take a little bit of Sculpey baked clay in between the two thagomizers with the width of the tail, and then just poke a hole in the middle, bake that. I have to be careful because they are painted, so hopefully I don't do a lot of damage. I have to do a bunch of repainting there. It's the only risk about doing that when you're this far in. But I will probably be okay. I'll probably, yeah, just be watching the oven a little more carefully than normal. One thing I could do too is just make that middle piece and glue them on, but it's better to just kind of make it all as one piece and then bake it, because then you just don't have to use the glue. So that's the plan for the tail. The arms will be a little more interesting because of the ball joint. So I have an idea of how I'm going to do that, but nothing's exactly set in stone at this particular point. Kind of ended up ruining some Lego parts for probably no good reason, but live and learn. EGW, thank you for tuning in. Good news, Godzilla's surgeries did go well. He is able to stand on his own, but we do just kind of have that extra little bit of support rod in there because he's really skinny, and I don't want him to hurt his back in the meantime. So we're just kind of making some clay to fatten him up a little bit. So there's a couple good methods to mixing up large batches of clay. So one is basically you can just kind of do the mush and pinch method, for lack of a better description. But personally, what I like to do, because it's a lot easier, you just kind of roll it up, and this is nicer when everything's nice and warm too. You make a big snake, sandwich it together, and then just roll it again. And you just kind of repeat that process, and that blends all of the colors in. Now, it doesn't look like I'm doing much because I'm mixing black with black, but unfortunately I just didn't have time to do this before I started streaming. So here we are, mixing some clay for Godzilla. Oh, cool. Where are you from, EGW? Because it's pretty late at night where I'm from. It's about almost 9 o'clock at this point. I'm Canadian. The gills? I would like to do that, but I think what I'll probably do is just sneak that in when he's glowing. I'll probably end up modifying those just a little bit with plasticine clay, because right now they're just kind of like slits with a sculpting knife. So what I'll probably end up doing is just grabbing like a little pinch of them, and yeah, you guys can see the gills. Essentially, it's just kind of putting a little overlap on it, like that. So they actually have parts that stick out just a little bit more. Now, unfortunately, I don't want to get overly detailed with the neck bits. And I know that some people might not like that much, but the reality of the situation is he is a claymation doll, and I like to try and give myself safe spots, for lack of a better description, on some of these these characters. So by a safe spot, what I mean is a place I can actually put my hands and manipulate things. And usually the neck to turn the head, for example, is where I use that. And with those gills, yeah, you can see there's already going to be problems with that. So I have to be very, very careful at this point. I just kind of have to pinch the two tops halves, or just basically have to repair everything in between then. So for that main reason, that's why I just don't want to go with a whole lot of detail there, because the more detail you go with your characters, the more difficult it is to do animations with, unfortunately. And I'm just kind of one of those people that, yeah. doesn't know when to say well enough is good, so I end up making a very extremely difficult character that's usually given not very easy animations to deal with on top of it. So all this stuff is extremely time consuming, to say the very least. So every bit in one of your support is appreciated, and I hope I've inspired you all to basically kind of do this stuff on your own. Ill regards of me making a massive mistake on this point, but when you're dealing with characters like Godzilla here that weigh several pounds, like he's got to at least be 6 to 7 pounds of plasticine clay, things like this generally kind of happen sometimes from time to time. What are you doing, Mr. Mitz? Hey, get off my printer. Sorry, just a second. Hey, get out of here. Okay. I have a bird feeder outside, and he generally likes to go take a peek at it all the time. He's an indoor kitty, so luckily he doesn't get at them very often, so he's done a couple escape attempts, to say the very least. Hey, Mr. Houdini. Yeah, you, Mr. Mittens. Oh no. Yeah? And then what? To Mr. Meats. Mr. Meats. Mm-hmm. You up to no good. Oh, V-Rex, that would be really cool. I think I've gotten a couple requests for that one, but not too many. I definitely will have to make one of those once I make a Kong. Because I, at some point, would definitely have to do the traditional stop motion thing and have Kong fight a V-Rex. So, your goal with this is to get as much hair in Godzilla as possible, huh? I see. Mr. Mitty. Ugh, cat hair. You're shedding. It's springtime here, so I'm gonna be covered in animal hair for anyone that has questions. It's completely normal for me. There's a lot of pets in my house. I have 3 cats. Oh my god. 3 cats, 2 dogs, and some fish, which I will probably actually have on stream at some point in the near future here, because I'll probably live stream setting up my pond. So that's usually where all the glamour shots in the summertime are taken for a lot of my monsters, as well as dinosaurs. Particularly the dinosaurs, generally because I kind of like to have them in an outside environment, because I just think it looks really cool. Plus, it kind of gets to show off all the hard work and gardening stuff that I generally like to do, so you guys will get a little bit more footage of that, so it'll be kind of interesting. Hopefully I don't slip and fall into the pond, because that generally happens every year. I mean, it'd be pretty entertaining for you guys, I suppose, but yeah, it smells like fish. Ugh. So, luckily on your end, you don't get any of those features. Sorry, Kingzilla, oh cool, that sounds interesting, a Godzilla toy hunt. I've seen a couple, like, toy challenges and stuff like that, but I don't think anyone's done a Godzilla toy challenge. That'd be interesting. I need to buy some Godzilla toys, especially from X-Kong here, because I really want that remote control one. So what I'm trying to do right now is basically just color match things as best as possible. And I think that's about as good as we're gonna get it. Not exact, but so close you're not going to tell, plus he has to get a gray strip in the middle, so most of it will be covered up. Not to mention, I still have to go over them with the steamroller, or the skin texture tool, as I like to call it, so I got cat hair in my eye now. So that'll hide a vast majority of the imperfections too. So I definitely recommend those things for getting cool skin textures without having to actually work that hard for it, if that makes any sense. Unfortunately, I've had to buy multiple sets of that tool because of different color variations, and it's impossible to really clean them properly, so I just kind of went, you know, whatever. I'm going to have one for Godzillas that are black, I'm going to have one for Shimo that's white, I'm going to have one for every monster, apparently. It's going to get expensive. So, speaking of the guy's donation thing later, when that is available, yeah, it would be appreciated because this stuff adds up after a bit. But that's in the future, so don't worry about that stuff for now, guys. Oh, cool. Yeah, I kind of need to get back into the groove of maybe making some dinosaurs. I kind of miss doing that deep dive stuff. I like to listen to a lot of dinosaur podcasts in my free time, and usually while I'm working on things, so, yeah. I'm a dinosaur nerd. Oh, you got a lovely toy. Speaking of toys, you want to come show everyone your toy? Yeah. Hey? Oh, no. She's got a little squeaky bone. She loves squeaky toys. She's generally not allowed to have them too much because she can get really annoying with them sometimes. Yes, you can. Hi, Stuff. That's my Chewbacca Holly. Yes. Oh. Hi. You see how many interruptions I get to deal with, huh? It's really hard when they're that cute. Yeah. Ah. It appears to have been left outside and is now all soggy. Oh man, that was unexpected and kind of gross. Yeah, I may not have to empty that thing out. Yeah, there's been a lot of spring cleaning, I'll put it that way, and there's been a lot of spring cleaning lately, and unfortunately my yard was a complete flood, to say the very least, so I had to grab my pond pump and use it for other purposes. And apparently that toy has now been filled with, yeah, runoff water, for lack of a better description, from all the snow melting. Oh, I definitely would like to make a Utah raptor. That would be a fun deep dive, because that's one of my favorite dromaeosaurs, for sure. I would have to be very careful in how I orchestrate that one, because, I mean, theoretically, Blue would not win, but I kind of have to make Blue win, just because I know I would probably get a lot of hate if I didn't otherwise. But that being said, these characters are easily fixed, so you guys might get a little shocked when it comes to Godzilla -1, the character that I've made quite a while ago. Him in the background there, that dude. So, yeah. Godzilla -1 has regenerative powers, obviously, in the movie. So I plan on adding a couple scars and imperfections with throughout time to make mine more accurate to the movie adaptation. Because right now he's perfectly smooth, which isn't right. So probably gonna have to blow part of his face off at some point, as bad as that sounds. But that's fine. It'll be a cool animation, I promise. Oh, let's see. That is a strange... I'm gonna have to look up that dinosaur name. That's completely okay with me, because I like dinosaur nerd stuff. So, give me a couple minutes. I'm just gonna add some layers to clay. Layers of clay. So, where's my cell phone? Not that one. Oh, it's on the tripod over there. I have several tripod setups, and I never know which one it's left on sometimes. But yeah, I'll get to your request in a few minutes here, just bear with me. I have to kind of review what kind of footage I have here for a brief minute, because I'm getting old, and I'm tired, as always. Okay. I have me placing clay, but not mixing it on, so basically I can get away with not having to film any footage here and just do this on live for a brief few seconds. So we're gonna add this turd onto the midsection of Godzilla, therefore making things just a little bit fatter and, well, stronger, for lack of a better description. So I will change the camera angle here for you guys so you get a better view of what I'll be doing. And it's usually nice to do this while your clay is nice and warm after kind of heat up, but not too hot, not too soft, so that way it just easy to nice to mix in. So, boop. Don't need that. Obviously wasn't doing anything in the first place. More or less just a security measure at this point in time. Oh, Fufu. Have you woken up from your nap, sweetie? Oh no. Called the other one. Hello, Holly. Yeah, you're back. That's a kind of a different black. Might actually end up having to try and make a thin layer of clay that blends in a little better. We'll see how things turn out here. In this case, this will basically just kind of be the main layer to hold everything together. I know you're there. Don't care. Okay. Think we got enough in there for now. I'm gonna look up this dinosaur before we get too far. Oops, of course I smacked the mic on my way back. Okay. Let's see what we got here. I'll be productively lazy this way. Plus I can just turn it around once I get the image for you guys.
Your bathroom needs for breathe small spaces.
Hi, Fufu.
Air freshener you set and forget.
Uh-oh. The puggy is lost. My old lady. I might have to go grab her. Yeah, okay, just give me a sec. I'll be right back. Old puggy on the loose. Woohoo! Come here, sweetie. Okay. I guess Fufu is coming to join us. I know she's very popular amongst everybody here, so say hello to old lady Fu. Eye goobies. She always gets these gross snot things in her eyes after she has long naps. Which is usually all the time, isn't it? It's okay. We got it. Sorry, I get to your request right away. Oh dear. Get the sleep out of your eyes. That one's really bad. I have to go grab some water. Okay. I'll leave you alone for a few minutes. Then we'll get the rest of it out. You pest. Utah Raptor versus Blue. Can you make a KAP? Oh, sleepy girl. Oh god, okay, this might not work out as well as I hope because now it's sideways. I can't do it. Can't function. Jeez, the spelling is really weird on this one. My phone's not trained. This cell phone is not yet trained in Dinosaur like the iPhone. The iPhone seems to be able to do that on the search engine because I've had it for years. This phone is pretty new and it still is like, what are you trying to do, man? There we go. I still don't know how to say that. I'm gonna have to look up pronunciation. It's basically a ancient crocodile though, so it's an old crocodilomorph. That's really cool. Honestly, really like these things. So there you guys go, get an image of what it kind of looks like. And definitely wasn't small by the looks of things. Hi. Yeah. Speaking of big Animals. Hey! What are you doing? Leave my chair alone. It didn't do anything to you. Can't have any nice furniture when you have cats. To claw everything. Okay. Let's see if I can actually pronounce this name. Oh, it's an Ark. Okay. I'm guessing that's where you discovered it then. I'm a big fan of Ark. Might start streaming Ark playthroughs at some point. And I've gotten a few requests for playing video games, but we'll try and get this channel up and functioning before I decide to start anything else. I'll put it that way. So if you want more, be sure to binge as much as you can on this. How to... Oh, there we go. How to pronounce.
Fame. Very little is known about Caprosuchus.
Caprosuchus. Okay. Well, at least I got the bit that I needed. Caprosuchus. It's not that difficult, actually. Really interesting. It looks like it runs fast. But yeah, I will definitely add that to my request list here. Because I don't think we've had too many crocodilomorphs. There's been a couple, but very seldom. They're not nearly as popular, unfortunately. They should be, but they're not. This is a very easy question, but who wins? Can't quite. Have you made stop motion puppets out of? No, I have not made stop motions out of pipe cleaner. I used to be big into pipe cleaners when I was a kid. I'll admit that, but not really anymore. I've kind of outgrown that stage, I think is a good way to put it. Yeah, armature wire and clay is much better. It's more complicated, but you can get a lot. You can be more creative with it, obviously. So that's why I prefer that medium. Okay, I see you're asking questions here amongst each other too. Cool. So I see you guys are kind of all together on the same stop motion community. That's interesting. Anyway, Fufu, it's been nice knowing you, but we're going to put you to bed again. Here you go, Sydney. Oh no! No! Like crash landing. Okay. Now I'm gonna get a little bit of film footage here done. So the lighting is probably going to slightly change for everyone. Now I have to go through my camera settings here quick, make sure I'm not in 8K because my editing software can't handle that. Well, it can, but it doesn't like it. And I'd rather not lose all the footage I've edited so far. It's not worth the risk. This ring light definitely has made a big difference, so if any of you don't have one of those, they're actually a pretty good investment as far as I'm concerned, because it's made my lighting situation just a lot easier. Boo. What you doing? Uh-oh. Okay, honey, come on. Go to bed, pug. Great wanderer. Or do you need to go outside? Oh shit. I shouldn't have said that word. That is a forbidden word in this household. That and the W word. I say those, the German Shepherd has a habit of just going absolutely crazy. So, yeah. Not allowed to say that stuff. EGW. Okay, well, thanks for tuning in, buddy. Glad you were able to join us for the stream for at least a little bit. What's it like in Canada? For the most part, really cold. But it's not too bad, I suppose, for the most part. But it's starting to get warmer now, at the very least, so that's good news. But sometimes it's not uncommon to get like minus 30, minus 40, minus 50 sometimes during the winter months. It gets pretty intense. I'm not a huge fan of that, but overall, it's not bad. I guess I should say. We don't really say that. A lot of people seem to do that. I think I said that once on an online gaming stream once. And boy, did I ever get chewed out for that. They're like, oh, you're Canadian. I'm like, wow, okay, I accidentally said it once. Oh. Interesting. But yeah, it's not too bad. I honestly might, you guys get an idea of what the environment's kind of like once I start setting up my pond and live streaming, getting that all set up. I might at one point too just gonna do an adventure with my doggo and stream that. See if people get a kick out of Holly adventures. It's kind of interesting where I live. It's just a bunch of prairie, so it's kind of like a huge flat landscape of absolute nothing. So you can literally see for like miles and miles. So it's kind of interesting. A little boring, I suppose. I'm not a huge fan of it anymore. I've been here my whole life, but I would like to move to Alberta at some point for obvious reasons. I'm going to be doing another trip there amongst some other content and videos, so there'll be that to look forward to as well. More dinosaur stuff. Hopefully this year I get to go see a live dinosaur dig. I tried seeing that last time, but unfortunately it got rained out, so I was like, okay, well, my vacation time's pretty much over. I would love to stay another day or two, but life continues. If content creation was my full-time job at that point, I probably would have been, yep, no, I'm staying, I don't care, I'll wait. But no. Maybe someday. Meep meep. What up? Well, Godzilla's standing upright, so I guess that's up. So it's good news. His surgeries on his back were all successful, and yeah. We're just kind of slowly piecing him together at this point. Next will be the tail and his arms. So there's still some... The tail's probably not going to be nearly as morbid. The arms might be a little shocking, but... yeah. You'll get over it. Some people are just like, oh no! It's like, quit it. It's fine. I know what I'm doing. Only been sculpting over 25 years. Plus, I don't even know when I started, to be quite honest. I can't remember. Long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. You guys are talking about pizza? It's an interesting topic. I guess everybody does love pizza. But unfortunately, where I'm from, I do not believe we have that branch that you were talking about. So, yeah. Okay. Just admiring Godzilla right now, making sure my stomach is all evened out. I might add just a little bit more here and there just to make sure he is sufficiently held upright. Oh, nice. You're back from your Godzilla toy hunt. Was it successful? Mr. Kingzilla? Holly, be nice to Fufu. She's just wandering around. Okay, I seem to have some crackage going on the tail, so I'm gonna work on Godzilla's rear. But yeah, that is much better. Before, I wouldn't be able to actually do this without him going bleh. Lost a Dagmiser. That's why those are the next operation. But, yeah. Back surgeries were very successful. I don't know how mobile he is now there. Well, we got some mobility, not a lot. It's going to be really difficult, but either way, it wasn't going to be easy. You know, fat B-word. Okay. Time to fix Godzilla's crack. Yeah. Leave that to your imagination. Holly, no one's after your sluggy squeaky toy. Yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of gray areas to patch up. Pun intended. Oh, look at that. Smush it over. We're good. Just let it kind of blend into the rest of the tail that way.
No way. Why would I use kayak to scale hundreds of travel sites at once? Things myself.
Okay. So right now, I'm just kind of doing some repairs to the tail. Yeah, I'll just take these off. Gonna make this a little thicker here so it acts like a third leg. Holly, quit growling. Leave Fu alone. I have to take your toy away. Give it here. No more squeaky toy. Ding dink. You can get it back later. Child. Yes, I have seen the new movie, and I did a whole movie review on it while finishing Shimo. So if you haven't seen that, be sure to check it out. It's a pretty popular video by the looks of things. So, yeah. Definitely enjoyed it. If you're a MonsterVerse fan, I highly recommend you go check it out. I'm sure you've seen it already, though. Judging by your question. I think I have to go guide Fu to the water dish soon. Sounds like she needs water. Unfortunately, she has issues seeing, so I have to pretty much do just about everything for her at this point, but that's okay. She's my old lady pug. Hey, Shredder. Miss Whiny. Oh, nice. It was a success. What did you end up getting out of curiosity? Was it one of the new GXK toys? Probably, yeah. I might have to make a, a short video out of that or something. Now, unfortunately, I've noticed we've kind of lost some of these spikes at the top here, which is slightly upsetting, but that's okay. I'm willing to have a couple spikes slightly buried in clay to make sure that our Godzilla will actually stay in place. So, minor detail. Stop motion problems. Unfortunately, not everything can be exactly accurate. I do my best, but yeah. I can't have, oops, sorry Shimo. I can't have things take forever either, so I have to draw a fine line between spending too much time on things and making it so it's just not impossible to do stop motion with either, if that makes any sense. It's a fine line. Hi, whiner. I guess I'm adding a layer to the back now, just for extra security. That, and there was a bit of a bump here, so I just kind of wanted to make sure everything was nice and even. Hey, grumpy gills. Go lay down. No, none of that. Hey, go. Not competition over my attention. Go lay down. No, not right by me. Go. Leave her alone. Okay. Give me a second. I got a grumpy dog. I don't want to deal with that anymore. Okay, Holly. No more. Outside. Okay, I'm back. She can just hang outside for a bit. She's gonna be grumpy gills. Sorry, guys. Alright. Where were we? She gets a little defensive over her toys sometimes. I don't understand why. Usually why they're not around during streaming, because she's like, it's like, okay. The pug can't even fit that in her mouth. Grumpy dog. German Shepherds are stubborn. Well, so is the pug. In her own different way. She has little dog syndrome. She thinks she's really tough, but she's a pug. Hey, cool. You got a really nice thick base now for the tail. So that'll definitely help keep things more balanced out when we're playing around with stop motion animation. He might not necessarily be as accurate to his slender composure comparison to what he is in the movie, but it's a sacrifice I kind of have to make. Take back test there. See how he acts. Didn't do too bad. He kind of wants to be more or less a little hunched over still, but it's not terrible. Kind of accurate, so hopefully it doesn't become a problem in the future. Oh dear, where's my Thagomizer? There it is. Don't want to lose that, because if I run that over with my office chair, I'll be really upset, because then I have to start making another one. Hey, Miss Kitty. It's my other kitty. Okay. Gonna hang out in the chat for a few minutes here, so if you guys have any sort of requests or questions about anything else, let me know. Now's a good time to fire away, I do say. Because, yeah, we're pretty much ready for some Thagomizer and arm surgery at this point, so I probably won't get too far into that right now, because that'll be kind of a big operation. I have to make sure my oven's not too hot, because it just recently made food, and if you put Sculpey bake oven in at 425 degrees Fahrenheit, I don't know what that is in Celsius. I tried figuring it out, but I can't do the math right now. It's not good. It really cooks. Don't do that. Don't think about food while making your characters. That's the best way I can put that. What is the favorite character that I have made? That is a good question. Here, we'll just kind of go amongst the clay cast over here, for lack of a better description. I think if I were to kind of... I think -1 so far is probably one of my favorites. Sue is definitely pretty cool. I like Ignis a lot as well. He's one of my original characters that has actually done half decently. Shimo is really cool just on the spikes part alone. But if I had to kind of pick between my two favorites, it's definitely Godzilla -1 and probably the Living Dead one. Let's see if we can get an angle of him here. Godzilla, get out of center stage. That Argentinosaurus zombie dinosaur. I like those two. Those probably one of my more popular characters. So, kind of as a YouTuber aspect, that's probably why I like them so much. That being said, Shimo has done really well. So apparently a lot of you seem to find the lesser popular kaijus very interesting. So I'm definitely looking forward to maybe diving down a few more lesser known monsters in the future, because I think that'd be kind of an interesting deep dive from my perspective, as well as your guys's, because you guys seem to, well, I'll admit, it's been a very, very, very Godzilla heavy orientated channel lately, so it's nice to maybe have a slight change in pace, so I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason why. So yeah, we'll still have lots of Godzillas, obviously, for all the G-Man fans, but I think we're probably going to have a Kong in the near future, followed by a Scar King, and before all of that, a Doug, but I don't think we have any major Doug enthusiasts in the chat today, but I better not get too carried away with talking about that guy, because they will definitely make themselves heard as soon as I mention that name. Karen Hart. Hello, Karen Hart. Thanks for tuning in. I don't know if I gave you a shout out earlier on, but if not, hello. Meet. Actually, okay, question is Shimo hard to make in comparison to Godzilla? In comparison to Godzilla... And the question is by Meep. So, both yes and no. It's a weird line. I don't know how I can really answer this question. I think Shimo was probably a little easier to make in a sense that I didn't really have to worry about the same balancing problems that we're running into with Godzilla right now, which is why we're going through all these surgeries. in operations. So in that sense, I think Shimo is probably a lot easier to make, mainly because she's on all four legs. You get a lot more support. It's just more well balanced when you're doing something that massive, especially in my opinion. So just for that sense, I definitely would say Shimo was probably a lot easier. The spikes overall too, or the crystals, were easier to make as well. Like the overall, hi Fufu. The overall shape was, hey, come here. Yeah, no, come on. Oh, there's another Thagamizer down here. Thank you, Fu. Almost lost another spike, but the pug found it. But yeah, the spikes overall shape-wise are easier to make, but the painting was probably the most difficult. Yes. Oh no, regular worm. Are you comfy? Hopefully. Yeah, Fufu's here. So that's why there's the heavy breathing. Hopefully it doesn't bother anyone. She can't help it. She's a pug. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Is right, Fu. Thank you. Glad you are settled now. Where was I? Crystals. Crystals were pretty... The only really challenging part about them was all the dry brushing and painting that it took, I think. It did turn out really well, but even I was a little surprised on how I was able to do that. And Godzilla spikes in comparison are really jagged, and I'm kind of one of those really big... Yeah, I really like to get detailed sometimes to the point where it's almost redundant. I literally copied, spike for spike, each shape of them to what the actual movie Godzilla was. So, generally speaking, the spikes on Godzillas are a lot more time-consuming and difficult to make in that sense. So, yeah, Godzilla, far more difficult. You got balancing problems. Spikes are more detailed, but each one of them has their own unique set of challenges, I think is the best way to put that. Keeper Gaming, hello! Kind of right at the tail end of things, unfortunately, buddy. We're just kind of... So if you have any questions or requests, time to fire away. Just kind of wrapping up with things in the chat right now. Before I move on to the rest of Godzilla surgery. So I know you're a regular stream enthusiast, so I'll just kind of give you a quick update of what has happened. We got really good news. The back surgeries were successful. Godzilla is now able to stand up on his own entirely. So at this point, there's only 2 remaining surgeries to go through, and then I get to make some props for the upcoming monster fight. Yes, I would just answer the question. Obviously, there's a slight delay there. Hopefully, you get the stream feed. Alarm. So yeah, good news. It was very successful. It looked really bad. I'm well aware on probably the shorts in the last few streams, but yeah, the JB weld is held. Hey, that rhymed. Oh, a little Shimo. That sounds really cute, actually. Mine's definitely not little. I was thinking she wasn't going to be that heavy, but she turned out to be quite heavy. She's probably about 7 pounds. Is that Pug? Yes, that is Pug. Foo's decided she was just going to chip in for the remaining bits. She was wandering around. Like, oh, okay, come here. Okay, wandering around. She woke up from her nap about halfway through stream, so she's here and there throughout the video. As well as Mr. Mittens. And Holly. Because she's always smiling at the beginning, I think. What's your favorite figure that you made? Did you finish the back? Yes. I'm excited. That's probably why. Why is the pug so cute? I can't answer that question. They're adorable, flawed little creatures, to say the very least. I love pugs, but I definitely wouldn't really recommend them as necessarily the best household pet because they generally do kind of have a lot of health problems, unfortunately. Fui has been one of those pugs. We've had lots of eye issues and dental problems, and it's been an expensive journey, but that's okay. Yeah. So, maybe if you have some disposable income for vet bills, that's a bit I would recommend a pug, but I'll admit, it was a good experience, but I probably won't be getting another one of these dogs again after she's gone. I mean, yeah, I don't want to talk about that too much, obviously, because it's sad, but just pugs, yeah, have some issues. They're great companions. They're like little teddy bears, but yeah. Oh, yeah, they're very cute. They can't help it. It's the pug life, isn't it, Fu? Yeah. How much does Godzilla weigh? I'm assuming you're talking about legendary Godzilla here. He is pretty close to Shimo. Actually, he's probably in the same weight category, so probably around 6 to 7 pounds. -1 is a little lighter, and maybe 3 or 4 pounds, and surprisingly, the biggest is actually Sue the T-Rex, which is one of my very early stop-motion dolls, but the reason Sue is so heavy is... Actually, no, King Ghidorah beats her. It's either her or King Ghidorah. Sue is really heavy either way. I think Sue is about 8 to 9 pounds, and King Ghidorah is 11 pounds. King Ghidorah is massive, though, and even with weight-saving material, it ended up being a just monster. Is the best way to describe that project, I think. But Sue was very early adaptation to making very large stop-motion doll projects, so I wasn't nearly as experienced in that department, so I could have done the T-Rex a lot better and would definitely like to revisit making another stop-motion T-Rex at some point. However, Sue will still be around, but I just don't like her because she was an early experimentation and doesn't necessarily have the same capabilities or mobilities that some of my more newer developed characters have. Because, in regards to me doing this for 25 years, I have learned quite a lot just from doing this YouTube experience through the last 5 years itself, so. Which has been really cool for you guys, I'm sure, as well. Because for some of the older subscribers, I'm sure it's been quite a very interesting progression to see change, so, yeah. I don't really watch a lot of my old videos at this point because I'm like, oh god, that is cringe. But, yeah. We're here now, so. I appreciate everybody. It's getting late where you're from. Well, we'll probably shut things down here right away, so you don't have too much more to stay awake to. Just got a couple more chat things to go through and requests. So, if you've got any more, quickly fire them away before I have to move on and our Blazeman buddy here passes out on his phone or computer or whatever he's watching from. Pranka, hello. Hopefully I said your name right there. Is that Manila? Is that Manila Godzilla? No, definitely not Manila. I think the pug is probably more that realm. Maybe Gojira is probably considered Manila. I've gotten a few requests for Manila, but not many. I think there's been 2. And even then, I don't know how much I really want to make that character. He looks very strange. I might just kind of end up going, yeah, I'll make the baby Godzilla, but the cute one, with the one with the big eyes and that actually has spikes, because that one looks like a weird salamander. Yeah, I don't know, yeah. Sorry for any Manila fans out there, but I just think he looks very strange. Hi, Mr. Mitz. Oh, I see, with the blue eyes. That's Gojira, the original from 1954, who I'm pretty convinced has a broken leg, so we won't bring that up. There's another list of surgeries over there, but that's not Manila. That's technically where the monsters started taking over, for lack of a better description. I used to primarily focus on dinosaurs because that's where I used to get a lot of good numbers. And then I can't remember who that person was, but they mentioned, hey, this guy would make a really good Godzilla. And here we are. So, obviously, there's still some dinosaur content. We'll be doing some of that in the future for all my dinosaur fans. I really do kind of miss doing some of those. It would be nice to get into some of them. I have a lot of dinosaur requests that I do need to tend to. But, obviously, we got an overwhelming amount of, whatchamacallit. Oh, she has a lot of eye problems, unfortunately. She has, like, a bunch of eye drops that I have to administer her daily, so... But, yeah, there's a lot more things coming in that regards to what I was just talking about, but... Yeah, Fu's old, and she has a list of eye drops, unfortunately. So... One of her eyes got scratched not that long ago. Yeah, it's okay. So, she has, like... some eye lubrication, anti-inflammatories, a bunch of things that I kind of have to administer to her fairly frequently to keep things down. She's like 13, 14, so... Yeah. Getting old, aren't we? Both of us. Yeah. You stink. Nice. Yeah, I kind of switched from going horizontal to vertical. It's just a lot easier with the tablet at this point, and it kind of makes things better for future viewers, to say the very least. Mr. Mittens, you are being quite obnoxious, mister. Okay, so, apparently... Mr. Mitz has some pressing issues that I need to attend to, according to him. So, I think that's where we're going to end the stream today. Is that Godzilla made of clay? Yes, everything, obviously, you're pretty new, so you have some catching up to do. Everything here is made out of clay and is basically a stop-motion or claymation character. So everything I make is generally brought to life through hundreds to thousands of frames per second, and basically what this stream is building up to one of the giant monster fights in the future. So hopefully that answers your question, but yeah, Mr. Mittens is apparently got an issue. I don't know what it is, but it's probably not that important, but either way, hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream. If you did, be sure to smash that like button as hard as a kaiju, comment below what you think, share with your friends, and, well, perhaps consider subscribing if you're new. Considering, yeah, I think we have a new viewer here, so, yeah, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I think there's one, obviously, in the corner there. There should be. So, right over there, yeah, push it. Cool, okay, anyway, so, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you have a good night. That's enough from me. Till next time, take it easy.